morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon.
Sometimes it's easier for me to keep going than to quit.
Life is real. You know what I mean? You have to go out there and put the work in.
And if you've never been in the pit at a NASCAR race, do it.
The time you put in while no one is around will be what sets you apart when everyone is watching.
Because a lot of times you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a cool little idea. But once they really understand where you're coming from, the meaning behind it all in your heart, and what you really want to accomplish, that's when people dive in. They really get on board with it.
Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon. Whatever time you're listening in, wherever you're listening from. Shout out to my Spotify listenership, Apple and Google Podcasts, and YouTube if you're watching in. Thanks for giving me a reason to get dressed. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here. Be present and recognize that it's now, right now. Whether your right now is working, flying, running, driving, be thankful we're alive, baby. Failure can be frightening. However, as Winston Churchill reminds us, success is all about going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. This is I Will Not Lose podcast, where we set out to prove everything is learned from failure, and we must persevere and recognize it as one step closer to success. I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. Let's jump right in. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yo.
Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon. Whatever time you're listening in, wherever you're listening from. Shout out to the Spotify listenership, YouTube, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening in from. Thank you. We are on a journey, all of us together. So shout out to the listeners that can relate with not only my guest's experience, but the journey that she's taken in this new chapter of a life with Immaculate. I am here with AMAC McGuire, recording engineer that's worked with many artists that you know and love. Is also a mental health advocate, speaking out with her public speaking events, coaching. I know I have a workbook that I need to put together, healing through music, all sorts of stuff. So I'm super excited to kind of dig into your journey, pick your brain a bit. There's a lot of stuff that overlaps with my own life. My listeners have known I've been public about a very recent recent scare that I had and how I'm adapting and changing things from there. So, Allie, welcome to the show. I Will Not Lose.
What up, Tony? Thanks for having me.
For sure, for sure. So let's kind of take it back to the beginning. I know we were chatting a little bit off mic. You are just a musician and a creative in general.
Yeah, for sure. I just think of myself as a creative, and obviously went into the music niche, but I just love to create everything.
And I noticed that you kind of specialize in creatives or with people in, I don't want to say the music industry, but that creative, like when we had Jack Nine on last week, he said you have to have tough skin to be a professional creator, whether that's videography, whether that's like graphic design or media, like the path that I went down. But I do relate with a lot of times creators, I like how you said, choose their niche. Like, what do you mean by that with like the niche of expression?
I mean, yeah, music was just happened to be the path that I went down. I could have went down many others, but like now, even like I think of myself as creative, like when I create a space, like the space that I live in or the space that I shoot videos in, or like, I mean, honestly, every human being on this planet is a creator because we're all creating our lives.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely, I mean, even like I think chefs or cooking, when I want to love myself, I make sure I have something that somebody else cooked. Like, I'm not talking about like McDonald's threw a couple of things together, but I mean something that somebody like even took the time to plate. Like, I think there's beauty in just laying food out a specific way. So that's super dope. But anybody on the creative, like whenever you're going to project your emotions out, even if it's painting or through visual arts, or even like this podcast studio that we're in, everything from the logo is designed, the crown has a meaning. and you get to share that experience with other people, but it can be an emotional roller coaster. Like you can project outward so much, almost entertaining. And then how do you, or didn't you, before you got into Immaculate, like come down or rest between, like, were you just creating at a high level, um, and just functioning through that? What was your life like?
I mean, yeah. So, well, first, I've always been immaculate. Like, AMAC is a nickname that my friends, gave me on the south side of Allentown. And then creating Immaculate happened a little later than that, but when I got into the music and stuff like that. But when you're talking about, yeah, when I was in the music industry, like when I was really pursuing that career, yeah, I had no off switch ever. There was no off switch. I never rested. I never thought that I did enough. I mean, I know it's not that I didn't feel achievement, right? And I just knew how to exist in chaos. Like I knew how to take hits and keep going. Like I could have been like bleeding from my back and just I would keep going. I wouldn't take the time to heal. I wouldn't take the time to rest. And of course, like, yeah, there were the moments of achievement because these were the things that I thought were bringing me like the happiness I was looking for or the success I was looking for. But it's so short lived when you're looking for the high.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. And you almost, at least with me, it's like you go through a phase where I struggled with saying, okay, did I get enough done in a day? But I explain to people I have a day contract that I do during the day, which takes up maybe 25, 30 hours of my week. And then in the evenings, I start working on a lot of it's client communication, but I have clients in LA, San Francisco. So midnight for me is like 8 p.m. for them. And then we have contracts that we work with in Southeast Asia. So if I don't turn my phone off airplane, like it's on airplane mode right now, there's no way I'm not getting notifications about everything constantly. So I found myself having to set up guides, even if it's an AI answering the phone and just replying back saying, it's it's 3 a.m. right now. Please send an email or something like that. And I kind of got numb to the achievements. It's like, even though you're doing something great and people are like, oh, that's so awesome, you're just like, oh, yeah, I'm focused on the next thing. So I don't know if you kind of felt that or felt like a numbness from all the achievement, or was it like a high that you were chasing, like the awards?
Sure. Well, you got to ask yourself why you feel numb to achievement and why you don't want to feel the achievement. That's a thing. We could dive into that later.
Yeah.
I don't. It's an interesting thought to think if I was numb to the achievement because it just got to a place where it didn't matter, and I think I was even more resentful of it because it wasn't bringing me what I thought it was going to bring me. It was like when you're so focused on like an outcome, you're just not thinking about like, and you think this is what's going to happen when I get this outcome. And then you get there and it's like, what the fuck? Can I curse on your podcast?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, we're not that monetized.
Okay, cool. It's like this isn't what I thought it was gonna be. And something I actually wrote this morning when I was journaling, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And it's like, people say like, live your dreams, but dreams aren't real. And we could get into the nitty gritty of whether when you're dreaming, you're in another reality and all of that stuff. But right now, in this moment, we are in this reality, in this human experience, right? So I don't want to live my dreams. I want to live my human experience. Right? Because my dreams, again, they weren't real. I thought when I got this is what my life would look like. But that is not how life works. Like, So I didn't care about the experience because all I wanted was this outcome. So that's why I would walk around bleeding from everywhere, because it didn't matter, because as long as I lived long enough to get to this place, everything was going to be okay. And then it wasn't okay.
Yeah, now you're stuck bleeding and oh man.
Yeah, and and now I've bled out so much that I can't move, right? And that's like what a burnout is.
For sure.
Like that now there's nothing you can do because your body's like, you literally don't have enough blood, dog.
Yeah. It's funny. I had ChatGPT explaining different ways so that I could explain to people that it's not just like people think you could just be tired and go to sleep for 8 hours and you wake up and you're just all the way there. But even post burnout, I'm realizing like there's a limit to how many decisions I can make in a day, how much like you feel almost like your brain's a muscle and it gets. So, I mean, kudos to you for not only learning about that with yourself, but creating a whole business model on helping other people with that, you know? So what is I don't want to say the goals, but what do achievements look like for you now? Like what's on that mountain that you're climbing or?
Well, wherever I am, like wherever I am is the goal. I think about like achievements so differently.
Mhm.
Like if I'm in a moment where I'm able to hold 3 different emotions at the same time and experience them all, like that is a W. Like and that's where I am right now. I'm not like, again, like there's no mountain for me to climb. I mean, you know, I do be climbing a lot of mountains. I like to hike, but it's about the journey and the experience. Like I can't stress it enough, because if I'm just like, what do I want to experience and not what do I want the outcome to be? Because if I just want this one outcome, it's one door. But if I want to experience, that can lead me anywhere to things that I didn't even know that like I really wanted. So, you know, I never thought in life that I could feel this way. Like this is the biggest win in the world. Like I'm so proud of the music I made and that career, and it couldn't have happened any differently. Like it had to, because I had to go through all of that so I could be here. But like I love my life even when it's hard. You know, and I want to say this, and we sort of talked about this a little bit before we got on the podcast, but whatever you got done today is enough. Whatever you got done today is enough. And you don't have to feel bad like that I didn't like get my whole list. Just use that as, okay, I get to do better tomorrow, but not because you did bad today. Like I just get to try to do things differently tomorrow and figure out how it makes the most sense for me and grow. We're just trying to grow, but you don't need to grow through negativity.
Hardship and
right.
Like I think the athlete in me, sometimes I have to like tone it down a little bit. Even like I was a wrestler, competed and then coached a little bit after high school. And now with training jujitsu, it's nice because I'm not the best at it. You know what I mean? Like it's this whole other, we were talking, not even today, but you said something that stuck out. Like you go on these side quests and it's not really a side quest. It's like, jujitsu is a part of my journey and that has its own hills and valleys. And, coming off of injury, sometimes you have to realize like, okay, what led me to the burnout? I was achieving things and I knew that I wasn't going to climb any even hill all at the same time. Like if I was doing the podcast, running the business and training martial arts, like I couldn't be a black belt here, be Joe Rogan over here. I mean, I guess maybe he does jujitsu and podcasts, not to plug that guy, but you are on your own journey. Like I knew that even going into training, you don't look at somebody else. Like you have no idea what they're going on through their life. Like the person who was attacked might train with a different intensity than the person that's like, yeah, I'm just trying to lose 5 pounds, just trying to have a community or whatever. So, I mean, that's cool. And speaking of community, do you find like a network with people between clients that you've helped and places that you've spoken with? Like you see yourself as a connector?
Well, I mean, I hope to be. I'm definitely still in the beginning of this journey and what it means, like, to build the community on, we'll call it the mental health side for lack of maybe something more
Yeah.
intentional, right? So yeah, I mean, my hope is to bring community together. Like I think a lot about actual community and not like networking community,
Yeah.
of like, what can you do for me? Like, how can I use you, whether somebody has that intention or not, but like actual community of people who show up for each other, don't just do
Yeah.
things for each other. And that's kind of like what I'm striving to cultivate. That's the experience that I want to create and the experience that I want to have.
For sure. I think about that with the podcast with listeners. I mean, I just want people to tune in and see like it's not about the top of the mountain. Like it was always about the hike. And when you go and you hike, you don't like turn your brain off until you get to wherever you were hiking to. Like you're hearing the leaves crumble around you. You're taking in the feeling of like how fast the wind is going. I don't know. I do that sometimes. I'm walking and I just like take note of how the wind feels on my skin and the temperature, if it feels cold or what. That's what I want my listeners to embody, and kind of why I was excited to co-create this content with you is, so for the people that they hear us throwing out Immaculate, they hear us throwing out mental health journey, what is it that you do in this chapter of your life with the public speaking?
Sure. So I work on my 15-second pitch or like my 2-word brand all the time. And just like trying to get it right. But like all I'm doing here is sharing my story with other people in hopes that my story helps them. Like what I say all the time is I don't have any of the answers for you. None of them. All I have is the tools I created to help me answer my questions for myself. And storytelling is so impactful in so many different ways. So, but let me not be like philosophical about it and be like, name off like, these are the things that I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, like definitely keynote speeches. I go in, I speak on my journey, and then I also have an album. So I go in and out of speaking and the music. I have a framework that I built called the Immaculate Mindset Inner Compass. I have a 150-page workbook coming out, and the album actually accompanies the workbook because people connect with different mediums differently. Some people will really connect with the written words. Some people will really connect with the music. Some people will really connect to my speech, right, on different levels. And I create workshops around this, talk at universities. I'm also 14 years sober.
Yeah.
And thank
Air
you.
horns.
And I go to rehabs and talk to those in recovery. And yeah, I'm just telling my story in hopes that it helps somebody else. I never want to come across like I'm a guru, right? Like, and that I have like, I have no answers because I haven't lived your life.
That was big on your website. You said, I'm not a healer. I'm hoping people can use my story to heal or something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm not a healer. I'm just showing you that it's possible to heal.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I think it's great to have the example. I had recently, not on this podcast. I mean, my listeners know my struggles with mental health. That's part of why I started the podcast, was just to remind myself every week that I'm on a journey, whether it's up or down, wherever I'm at on it. It's not a straight path. Like there's hills and valleys on this, like there's even crevices on the way up. Sometimes you're going up and sometimes you have to go down to get to the steps to go up. And my listeners know I deal with mental health, but I was on another podcast. Shout out to Chino Gomez over at the Podcast House and Solora Podcast. They had me on where I was sharing more of my mental health journey. And I think that's the best thing we could do is giving ourselves as example. You know, I'm not a paid keynote speaker, but I recently spoke at Muhlenberg College about being an entrepreneur. And, you know, you're there telling kids, look, I remember the one woman said she wanted to be an art director. I said, okay, you know, they work like really hard. Like sometimes it's 16, 20-hour days, 24-hour days on set to get something ready to go. She's like, oh no, like I'm ready for it. So I think my whole point to circle back was using your example in any way is like a super fulfilling thing. I saw that you also help young women in audio engineering or in the music industry per se. You want to go on that for a little bit or?
Sure. I mean, I help anybody in the music industry, but also, of course, I have like a big heart and a soft spot for women in music because it's a lot different.
It'd be weirder if I was doing it.
Yeah, yeah, it would. We'd have to like check in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like something I realized, right, was that nobody told me what the real realities of the music industry were. Like, and nobody taught me how to navigate it. I can go on the internet, I can go anywhere, I can find a million people to teach me how to mix a record. Okay, you got to figure that out for yourself at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do it exactly like anybody else. Your ears are different. But nobody talked to me about, like, why are you working with this person? Like, is this somebody you actually want to work with? Do you want to work with people who are disrespecting you and acting like you're not an important part of this process? But my mentors were telling me, like, that's just it. You have to accept that if you want to be successful in this business.
Yeah.
But they should have been asking me, how do I want to be successful? Like,
yeah.
And it should be like, no, you shouldn't stay in a situation where you're being disrespected. You shouldn't be in a situation where you feel unsafe. Like, I should have never got to a place where an artist I was working with for over 3 years was threatening me to my face because there were plenty of signs that was about to happen.
Yeah.
I should have not been there that night all the times, but I thought I just have to go through this to get to this outcome. There was nobody telling me any of this stuff. All of the toxic narratives in the entertainment industry in general are so glorified. Like, I wish anyone would have told me, don't glorify that shit.
Yeah.
Why you don't want to wear that badge? The point is that you wanted to make music every day. So how can we make music every day and enjoy our experience? Because the accolades are just things. They're not your life. Right?
For sure.
And people ask me all the time, they say, oh, Allie, well, you think like if you weren't in those situations, then you'd have, these records and these accolades. And I'm like, look, this is how my life played out. I don't know. But do I believe that I could have chosen a better place and worked with somebody who respected me and still got these records? And like, of course, I was in these rooms. I could have ended up in a room with anybody at any given time. But I also didn't give myself space to find those rooms because I was so consumed by these toxic rooms for the outcome that I wanted. And just nobody shared any of this stuff with me. Nobody shared that I had another choice, that I got to dictate my life. So I just want to share what it's really like. And how you navigate everything is by knowing yourself and not worrying about what anybody else is going to say. I even remember there was like, this was in the beginning, but already when I knew like what I was doing wasn't right. And I had actually just had a surgery, but I got called at Good Music and it was like, we're going to invite you in to work with all the new artists who just got signed. This is like 2018.
Okay.
So, before Kanye really went off like the deep end.
Yeah. I remember good music back then.
Yeah. And, I said yes at first. And then I was just like, I don't want to go and do that. It's not going to be an experience that I'm going to like, and I called them back and told them I had like a relapse on the recovery from the surgery that I just had. Right. Because I wasn't just going to tell them, no, I don't like that.
Yeah. Because that could play off somewhere different in the, like, it's a small industry.
You got to play the game a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
But then I told my friend and he was like, no, Allie, like you have to go. Like, don't sabotage your career like this. And we fought because I was just like, yo, like, no, I can't go. I was already in the beginning of my burnout and I still had 5 more years to live inside of it.
Man,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and these were just like my little lifelines, but that's what people are going to tell you. No, don't go to this thing that makes you feel unsafe. You have to go to this place that makes you feel unsafe because it's going to get you what you want. No, fuck that. Find somewhere else to go where you feel safe and you feel good. It's possible. It's out there. And we keep choosing all of these bullshit places, and that's why they continue to exist.
It's all too familiar how people fall into familiarity or go back to what's familiar. Like, you can be totally aware of that you're in a toxic situation, but still, like, it's great that you let people know it's possible. Like, there is probably a hill higher than you've ever felt before. Maybe it's on a side quest. Like, maybe you're looking at this hill over here and there's a nice easy one that has a better view of the valley over here. Like, I think, like you said, focusing on the now. And that's one thing that I do love about the career that we chose, or at least when it gets into podcasting or live, like, as much of the technical stuff that's going on that's making this a good experience for the listener, I start to, like, everything around me blurs. I'm just locked in with my guests. I'm like, okay, this is a journey, even just the conversation in itself. You know what I mean? I have an idea of where I want to go with a conversation, but my show is not like, okay, so tell me about the time you worked with this, or like, what's the viral hot take from here? Everybody that listens to this is going to take a different experience. People with a music background, people without it, different creatives. Obviously, you're targeted, but anybody burning out, just driving trucks, not even doing something physically or cognitively draining, just draining on their time and them not feeling fulfilled, where their now is not something they can say. You've mentioned on this, so I'm sure you do it, but you ever sit in a now and it's not that you're happy for the sadness, but you're like, okay, I recognize and know this is to define the joy. Like, it's a feeling that I need to feel. Like, sometimes I just sit and process in sadness. Like, it's, at least I feel it. Like, you had some lyrics. I wish I've only listened to the album twice, but you had said something along the lines of like, gosh, what was it? I'm going to draw a blank. I'll come back to it. But,
was it being positive doesn't only have one meaning? Being positive means honor all your feelings.
No, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
That's a good one. I'll clip that. No, it was something along the lines of, I'm alive. Doesn't matter if, it was probably part of the hook. What's the hook in the I'm Alive song?
I'm alive. Living?
Living. Yeah.
I love my life and all that comes with it. I love my life. Well, now I'm on the spot. I love my life and all that comes with it. I love my life.
I should have had it queued up.
Oh, because I love my life, so I must be winning.
But
it's basically just like, I love my life even when it's hard, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, even to have the sadness or the appreciation, like, sometimes, even though I think that the athlete stuff gets me in the way sometimes when you don't need to truck through everything, it's also good to know, like, all right, man, come on. Like you're worried about a bill that's going to take a day to make when had to deal with a guy 7 pounds heavier than you choking you out. And you just like compare difficult times that you've been in and think like, man, I've bounced through this before. Even me coming out of rehab, I'll be going on, I'm 3 weeks away from 4 years sober.
Congratulations.
So it's like you don't realize that the sobriety is tied in with the mental health, but they're almost two different journeys. Like burnout's a very mental health thing, and you can have, you can perpetuate the burnout through, or like both ways, make it come faster or just stay in it longer through drugs or substance use or anything like that. At least I've seen some people go down that path. So to deal with, okay, even if I'm sober, even if I'm dry, there's still things that I have to deal with. I still have to do my maintenance steps. I still need to pray. I still, have to have a higher power be a part of my life, even if I'm not drinking. Otherwise you're just a dry drunk. Or if that's your poison, if alcohol is your poison, people go through it with meth, everything. I mean, sure, when you go to recovery houses and you speak with people, just your story. I mean, I hear 12 years. And I'm like, damn, 14. I'm sorry. I probably read that online somewhere. And
because some of the speeches I was, yeah.
But that's dope. 14. Yeah. So you got a whole decade. Like I probably put a good decade into drinking before I really, probably even longer. But that's an insane amount of time. Like I can't imagine the clarity.
Wild. It's wild. And correct me if this isn't what you just did you say that sobriety and burnout are different things?
No.
Or that they're the same thing?
No, that when you consider mental health, and like if I was at a I forget the word, the facility that does both addiction and mental health, but they consider them almost like one is substance, one is anything from schizophrenia or things that
sure,
have to deal with, even though we group mental health, like burnout is it was funny. I was going through and I was bouncing around the idea of burnout, and a lot of people will be tired and they'll be like, I'm burnt out. I used to say that. No, it's like when your brain shuts down, when you feel like you're drunk, when you physically can't move, when that's like the beginning stages of it. And then it gets worse than that. But it's like an actual chemical imbalance. Your cortisol is all jacked, making you feel drunk. Like I was as I was going through it, I was putting all my stuff into ChatGPT and having it explain to me what I was going through. It's like, super, super weird. And then I went back and read it after I was in good state to realize like where I was every day. I still use it to kind of track, okay, I'm feeling good. Is this that part of burnout where you're like, okay, I can get right back in the race? Like,
sure. Well, that is still burnout. But so I have a lot to say on everything you just said.
Yeah, go.
So, of course, now I just want to say, when we're talking about like schizophrenia and stuff like that, not the same thing. Right? That's chemicals in your brain that's like doing a thing. Not that the other things are, but anyway, I'm going to say it and you'll get what I'm saying. So for me, right, I quit drinking 3 weeks after I quit drinking is when I started making all my money off of music at a place I used to go get blackout drunk at. Wild time. But what I didn't realize for another 11 and a half years was that I just traded drinking for overworking.
Yeah.
Right. So as I was overworking and accomplishing my goals, like obviously, like, look, like getting platinum records looks way better than when you're blackout drunk and throwing chairs through walls. So like nobody's like, Allie, you're being so successful. Maybe that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, no, but it was because I didn't want to deal with myself. I didn't want to sit with all of those feelings that you're talking about. Like, I am so grateful for every feeling, pain, sadness, frustration. I'm like, I need the list of all
You
the
need the
emotions
list,
because
yeah.
there's so many, but like there's so many different emotions for us to feel. They are here for us. People used to think that I was angry all the time. And like, I was. I don't want to say that I'm not. I wasn't. But what it was that I had never processed or let any of this anger go. So it was just chilling right here with me all the time, right? So I didn't process and I didn't ask it why it was there so it could help me walk forward. Like, yeah, like hell yeah, like love your sadness, sit in it. It's again, we're having this human experience. It's what we're here for. We're not here to deny these things. All of them, you alchemize them. They turn into different things. Like they turn into your purpose.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, like have all your feelings. But I want to talk about the 4 stages of burnout.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I wanted to make sure we got to this.
Yeah, the 4 stages of burnout are really important because that the dangerous 3rd stage is what you're talking about, right? So first stage of burnout is actually enjoying things. That's when you have to be the most careful. That's why you have to build up all these boundaries and things with yourself, right? Because so you don't get swept up in how exciting this is. You don't get swept up in the high stuff. You know, we talk about reaching the mountaintop or being in the valleys, but what you really want to do is just kind of be here.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like that you're numb to everything and you're not feeling everything.
Yeah.
It's just like when you get to the top of the mountain, you're just like, wow, this is like so great. And when you're in the valleys, you can be like, wow, this is like so great.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, you're not just all over the place. You're just centered because you're just experiencing life. Nothing is making it like, I don't want to say nothing is making it better or worse because that's not true. But anyway, first stage is enjoying it, having your boundaries, having them set up so that you know, like, if I start going past this one, I'm going to get to the second stage of burnout, which is when you realize like, oh, wow, I think I signed up for too much. Now, if you have all these boundaries and you know yourself and you kind of know what's going on internally, then you can have the courage and bravery to go to the person or whatever situation is and say, hey, like, I think I ended up crossing some of my boundaries here because like I loved this so much. This was great, but like we need to figure out a different way for this to go so it can work out the best for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Now, you don't have that courage. You don't know yourself. You're just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to ruin this relationship. But you also got to remember that if you tell someone your needs and they tell you like, no, fuck you, well, great. You should probably leave.
Yeah.
But then you stay stuck in these situations, right? And then you get to the 3rd stage. And the 3rd stage was, I was sitting in stage 3 for like a decade. And that's you work, or whatever you're doing. You know, talk about those days when I'm exhausted. I can't get out of bed. But that's not rest. It's not rest. It's just exhaustion. It's just enough so I can get up and keep doing it to myself so I don't have to sit with my feelings. I don't have to deal with anything because I still got to get to that goal that's going to give me everything, right? And the 4th stage is a devastating burnout. And that is when you can no longer continue. It's when you hate the thing you love. I couldn't go in my studio for months. I didn't know if I would ever do music again. Like, I didn't know what I was even doing or what the point of anything was because I couldn't do it anymore. And I've never been able to, I could never go back to that life anymore. But that's also because I learned to like know myself and accept where I was. And I would never go back there. You know, if I went back to like working in the music industry, I would just do it in a totally different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 4 stages of burnout. And we got to listen to ourselves in all of those stages. But stage 3 is the hardest because, you know, you're trying to continue this lifestyle. And if you change the lifestyle, well, you know, it's going to happen. A lot of changes are going to come and they might be hard, but still always better to make hard decisions than to, you know,
stay stuck.
Yeah. End up bleeding on the floor one day and having to escape your entire life.
And then you can go back down, right? Like you can like it just enough. Can you stay in like stage 0.5? Or if you've identified a certain, like for you, it was the music industry.
Mm.
If you've identified something as this is going to burn me out, you just gotta axe it. Like,
I mean, I don't know that you have to reevaluate where
Yeah.
you're at. You have to reevaluate if you can communicate with the thing or the person that you're doing. Like, why are you getting, like, what is this about? You know, because balance is like, you know, you got to try, you know,
Yeah.
and like, is this going to work or is it not going to work? But it's really about open communication with yourself and the people that you're around, so
Yeah.
that you can have actual honest conversations with people about where you are. You know, a lot of times people are really afraid to have these conversations because again, people don't like change. They don't want people to not accept them for who they are and where they are. And so we continue to keep ourselves like in this trap because we're afraid of these things. But you know, for the health of ourselves and everyone around us, we have to be honest. And that's vulnerable. And that takes, and it's risky. It's risky because when you're vulnerable, truly vulnerable, you don't know the outcome. You don't know what somebody's going to say to you. You don't know how they're going to react. And we don't want to lose people. We don't want to lose these things. But again, doesn't it go back to the same thing that if I say, I don't want to work here, I'm offering myself up space to get what I really need. Right.
Yeah.
So like that is the way, and it's hard and it sucks, right? Because I do want to become a platinum award winning engineer. I do want to work with all the major labels. I'm so scared that if I say no, that I'll never get that. But I know if I stay here, like I probably will. But let's take this door anyway, because it's probably something greater that we never even imagined. Experience over outcome, always.
Is that what happened with good music then? You ended up taking it when you didn't want to?
Oh, I didn't take that. No. So
Okay.
not that one specifically, but I will tell you that not taking that week, you know, even though I had like the excuse of my surgery, I definitely stopped getting called, you know, as much. I probably only did like a few other sessions there after that, which was probably great.
For the better.
Probably for the better. Definitely
No,
for the
for
better.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You don't seem like someone that would have a ton of regrets or say like, I didn't take that far enough or it could have been more. I mean, I know that a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome and they think maybe more accolades or more awards. For me personally, I think when you're good at what you do, you don't really notice um like you don't really notice the accolades. Like you at least for me, like I was always super busy whenever I would be nominated for an award. It wasn't something like that I pushed on social and was like, hey, you know, I'm going and doing this. Obviously, you win a platinum record, you're gonna, I don't want to say like party, that's the worst word, but like I hope you took at some point at least to realize that you've achieved what, I mean, if it's not the red coral belt, it's the black belt of that martial art of like, you know, it's widely recognized as a peak or whatever, you know?
I became an expert at music. I became an expert at audio engineering and vocal production and mixing, like 100%. Accolades show things that you've experienced and things that you've done. I do, again, like, you know, I appreciate that time. And I'm still like, I'm 2.5 years out of when that burnout happened. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of space to heal, especially from something that I was in for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I don't just mean that I was in the music industry for 15 years. I mean that I was in like a burnout for 15 years. Because this story isn't about the music industry. My story isn't about the music industry. It's just where it happened.
Yeah.
Like my story is about how I didn't love myself my whole life and how I didn't want to be here my whole life. And now the thing I'm scared about the most, and I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die, but I just hope that I have so many years loving being alive because it's amazing. And like, none of it is wasted. None of that time is wasted. It all got me here. It all showed me something, but I spent like every day not wanting to be alive when all I had to do was feel my shit.
Just change some things.
You know, I just had to have a different mindset, and it takes a lot of work. It was really hard. There were a lot of really dark days, and like, you know, what I'm saying with the healing is I still have more layers, you know, to knock off, to understand more things. And I think to get to a place where like I am super proud of the platinum record and gold record and everything I've done, because it is incredible. It's incredible. Like, I'm really close to having 1 billion streams on the music that I worked on, and that's insane. And I understand that, but I was so hurt. I did it to myself. How hurt I was inside of the music industry, you know? So I'm still really dealing with that. But like, what I'm most proud of is that I fucking made it. Not in music, that I made it here, that I made it.
That we're here doing this podcast, like, man. How cool is this?
It's amazing. Like, so you can be and experience, do whatever you want in this life, 100%. But I hope that you get to do it feeling like I feel right now. Like, you know, like this is the most impossible thing that I ever achieved, is like loving myself and my life at an indescribable level. I can't even like express the feeling of love I like I can feel in my chest right now. Right. So like, it's really possible. It's really hard work, but like, and it never stops. You know what I mean? Like there's tough conversations to have. There's tough conversations to do. There's times to be brave and courageous and vulnerable every single day. And sometimes you're just like, but you know what? Every time that I'm like, and I'm annoyed and I'm frustrated, I am grateful.
Yeah. No, it's great when you get a parking ticket and you can actually be mad at it.
Get
when
excited.
I start to worry is like, when I get the parking ticket, I'm just like, yeah. It's just, especially if it's like here, they love to do that repeat offender where like, I've been living here for 9 years. So 9 years ago when I got the first street cleaning, that was my first offense. Now everyone after that is, $50 or whatever it comes out to. But yeah, man, you gotta get mad. It's good to realize why anger's there and why it's a natural part. So that's cool, man. And I like that you say you're not a guru, where, you're kind of still on the journey. Like,
I'm always gonna be on the journey. I don't know shit. I don't know any more than you know.
For sure.
Maybe like all I know is all I know.
That's dope,
That's
though.
a terrible answer.
That's dope. No, it's once you get into like we said, this is not a philosophy podcast. Once you get into, what you know, but if you know a little bit of what you don't know, it opens up the door to what you don't know. And I'm like, nah, that's too many no's. Let's just, it's cool, man. You're profound and you speak in a voice that people need to hear. You have an experience, at least for the piece of the pie that you're here to change, that you're here to influence and guide and allow them to heal themselves,
But yeah, it's, I want to do it in every medium possible.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I want to do it in every medium possible. And I know you said that we're coming to time, but if it's okay with you, I would like to actually like share the philosophy just of the inner compass so that your viewers could like think about that.
Yeah, there's no time limit.
Okay.
I just say that so it's not like
we're talking forever.
Oh, well, let's just say you were creating awesome concepts, then we'd have to like throw it up here with the
Sure, sure.
superimpose. That adds like an extra half an hour to it. So yeah, go on the inner compass. You got 20, 30 minutes. At some point we'll get hungry. We may have to
Yeah,
use the
well-
bathroom, but we could chill for 4 hours. I think the Roadcaster has like, what, 7 hours on it?
That's funny. That's funny. No, I don't want to give everything, but you know, like you said, like it's not really about promoting things, but just to give the concept, I think is important. I think it's helpful for people, right?
Yeah.
So, like because it's like, how did I get here? Like this is like actually the roadmap of how I did that and how I continue to do that. So, you ever heard of Brene Brown before?
Yeah, I have a quote from her up in there.
Right. I mean, Brene Brown like basically became my new mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, and when I was kind of in like the lowest point in the beginning, like after I realized that I had to take a break and I couldn't come back. And I mean, it's like I don't even smoke cigarettes, but I promise I was smoking cigarettes and just driving like for hours. And I'm in LA, you know what I mean? That's not an easy task.
Yeah.
I'm just driving and I call my friend and like I'm just like, yo, there's just like no point here. And she's like, I think you need to listen to Brene Brown. I think you need to listen to this TED Talk. Just listen to it. I was like, okay. And I didn't do it that night, but I did it. Actually, I went to see Kelly Clarkson in Las Vegas. This is not an important part of this story at all, but it was a great time.
Okay.
And I was driving back from Vegas and I'm like, you know what? I need to put on that TED Talk. And I put it on and Brene Brown talks about shame and vulnerability. You should all listen to Brene Brown. And in that moment, it was the first time that I was like, oh, I don't know how I ever thought about shame before. But I think that like I'm carrying a lot of shame that isn't mine. And that was like the first time that I was like, oh, was I trying to be successful to prove my worth? This whole time, like that's what all of this was about me trying to prove my worth because I feel like I hold no value just because I'm a human. And let me be clear, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are enough. Point blank, period. I don't care if you never left your room in your whole entire life. That is inherently true in you. So I keep listening to Brene Brown. I'm like, I have to, every book she's ever written, I listened to back to back to back to back.
I'm gonna have to catch up to you.
Oh no!
I've salad bar. I've picked and choose like the viral ones. I'm like, oh, that's great. I keep coming back to her, and she was just quoted in the podcast that I'm producing over there. That person had quoted her, so this is a sign from the universe.
No, I mean it's great because she's just like she doesn't claim to be a guru either. She's just sharing the things that she learned because she's a researcher, so she talks to like a lot of people, but. You guys, I won't get into who Brene Brown is, right? But so in one of the books, she eventually talks about your values, your core values, and breaks them down to say you can only have two. And you only have two because so you can remember them. So you always remember them. And she said, you never walk into a room alone when you know your core values because they're there with you, guiding you. And I was like, brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to burp from this Pellegrino.
It's all good.
And I'm like, oh, that's incredible. So this is like, I'm like really in my like anger phase and I'm like, screw the music industry. I am going to take it down and I'm going to light it on fire.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to write a whole expose about it. And what I'm going to say is that like, it's going to be about navigating the music industry through knowing your core values. And so I do the Brene Brown exercise, and my two core values are authenticity and growth. And I write this whole expose, and I give it to my friend. And she says, this is good, but you didn't talk about a time where you broke your core values. I was like, and that was like there were like 3 or 4 moments that were absolutely earth-shattering moments to me where like the glass broke and I could like see the truth.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. Like I didn't love myself enough. That's crazy. But that's when I realized that values were not enough for me to walk in a room and not be alone. Because I was always authentic. Nobody who's ever met me is going to tell you that I was not AMAC.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I was not Allie. Like nobody's ever going to say that. I have always been me in the capacity that I knew myself to be. And I was always looking to grow, right? Wasn't I growing my career the whole time? Every time?
Mhm.
That was my point. So that's when I came up. So values are the first. Oh, I came up on a great call. I came up with what these were, but there's 4 things. There's values, whys, what's, hows. Your values are your foundation. And then I came up with the whys. And I broke your whys down into your purpose and your ego. So your whys are your motivation. And my ego whys are searching for validation and proving people wrong. And my purpose whys are joy and impact. And now your purpose and your ego, like think about it like you're in the car. Somebody's driving, but the other one is always in the passenger seat. So it's not like there wasn't any joy and there was no impact. You know, I was making records that millions of people were here. Yeah,
Dang,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
We were doing some shit. Like
it sounds good. It sounds good.
We were doing some shit, and like there was a lot of joy in there. I don't want to act like I never had a good time, guys.
Yeah, like burn it down.
I did have a good time many times, and there were many people I worked with who were amazing people. But I was always being driven more by my search for my worth and to prove others wrong about me who told me I wasn't shit than the joy and the impact. And that's why I stayed in these rooms that didn't respect me. And then your whats are what you do for your why and your values. So whats are everything you do. What we're doing right now is a what.
This aligns with that's funny. I'm thinking about that. Like where we are right now. That's great.
And you can run this through your compass, right? So are you and me here in our purpose or in our ego, and do our values align with each other to like know, like, so when we were in the first call we had, that's where we know, right? Does this person align with, like, do we want to move forward with this? And and when we're aware of ourselves, it's amazing. And like, again, like your ego is always like a little bit in the room. Your purpose is always a lot, you know, wherever you are, right? And then you have your hows, which is how you think, act, and feel. And your hows are like how you know the difference between something that's unsafe or just challenging. And you talked earlier about like when you're like on a hike and you're like, well, maybe there's like an easier trail over here. And it's not about finding an easier trail. It's about finding a safer trail. That trail might be more challenging, but the other one might have rocks you can slip off of. So let's find the good
one that's
challenge,
gonna get
right?
us to the destination.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know, like when you can be aware of that, and you can also like understand, like, is this just challenging or is it unsafe? Because there's a lot of times that your body is going to confuse a challenge with being unsafe because of things that have happened to you prior in your life.
Past trauma and stuff.
Right. And that's why we want to learn to be so present in where we are so that we aren't being affected by our past and our future. I was never living in my presence. I was always living in my past, and I was always living in my future of who people thought I was going to be and where I was going to get to that was going to prove to them that they were fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, am I enjoying the moment?
That's a driving factor. That's a super driving factor, but I can see how that pulls you into the past or into the future and not just in the now, like constantly thinking of a goal or constantly like, I think of like a hamster on a treadmill and he's always trying to grab that rung in front of him and he doesn't even realize he's grabbing the same rungs. He's just, you know, maybe not the same time every revolution, but he doesn't know he's on a wheel. I mean, or maybe he doesn't, he's having the time of his life, but we're not hamsters. We're not meant to stay on a wheel.
For sure. You know, and look, awareness is like just so key, is so key. Like when you can finally become aware of something, like then you can take action about what's happening, and you can, you know, how am I thinking? Like, so let's use going to a session. How am I thinking before I'm going? Am I thinking I want to go, or am I thinking I don't want to go?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and then
Yeah.
why am I thinking these things? Ego, purpose, like, okay. And then how am I feeling? Like, how does my body feel before I get in here? Am I nervous, or am I like tense like this? Like, where is it? What's going on? And then how am I acting? Like, how am I acting before I get there? And then how am I acting when I'm in there? Am I acting as myself authentically, or am I pretending? Am I putting on a mask for something? And then, the inner compass gets really deep. So we could like go back and forth and swing around in all of these things. But like now you're aware of what's happening. So that means that you get to choose instead of being driven by these things that are always happening inside of you. Like this inner compass I'm talking about, it's happening inside of everybody listening to this podcast right now, whether you are aware of it or not.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just become aware of it so we get to make decisions about our journey instead of all of these other voices that aren't even ours.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And I think that I'm going to shout out psychologist Eddie here with his NBI, or his narrative based interview principle. It's a separate workbook, but it's when you break down like how your subconscious is kind of layered here, and it passes through your ego in the center of your brain, and then your actions are on the front. That may be a lot for somebody to digest, but you just broke it down super simple with so whether you go with following, I'm going to give you a second to let people know where they can follow you and how they can tap in if they're looking. Do you have free resources available?
I do have a really fun, I vibe coded it with with ChatGPT, but it's like an interactive exercise on how to find your core values. And I'm in the process of working on like some modules and stuff like that. You can also check out, you can check out my YouTube page, the Immaculate Mindset.
You spell that?
AMACULENT Mindset.
Yeah.
So yeah, there, and I talk about a lot of this stuff on that page as well. And yeah,
Super dope.
I need to say other things.
No, I mean, if there's something that comes up that you need to drop in the description, that's cool. I just wanted to let people be clear that, for hiring you for public, I mean, there's somebody that may listen to this and say, hey, I need her to speak at such and such school, corporation, etc. There may be somebody that just says, man, I'm really struggling with this. There may be a young audio engineer that's like, oh shit, how do I tap in? And so whether that be, nowadays, I love it that I'm at T.O. the designer on everything, because I can just say that when I do drops. It's like tothedesigner.com, at T.O. the designer, /T.O. the designer _ But people tap in any way they can. If you want to drop your email, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to the person that pulls over driving. Like, you remember when the radio commercials used to repeat the number at the end? That's 1-800-531. But no, I mean, anything you want to leave people with, anything that you want to kind of close the interview with?
Sure. Well, I will say, yes, anybody who would like to get in contact with me, please do, whether it's one-on-ones, for speaking opportunities, for experiences. I'm working on a lot of things. So you can find me at Amaculent, which is my Instagram. It's AMACULENT. You can also hit me at info@immaculent.com. And yeah, if I was going to say, one last thing is just continually be curious about who you are and why you are doing things. Ask so many more questions than you think of yourself and other people. And yeah, you'll win.
That's dope, man. Playbooks for Success coming for you from AMAC McGuire. Best of luck with everything with the album. Best of luck with the workbook and everything. And we're going to tap in. There's some things we could work on together and some people I want to put you in contact with. So thanks for your time. Thank you for listening to another episode of I Will Not Lose podcast. To support the show, visit iwillnotlosepodcast.com. You can subscribe to your favorite podcast player, share the episode link, leave a comment. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. And if you're listening in and can't see the QR code for donation, go to tothedesigner.com/links, and there's instructions to donate up there. Thanks so much.